It's a time to be cautious. And I think that if you're running a risk-based business, it's a time to think more cautiously about your risk box, your risk appetite. I think you have to expect that there's more volatility on the horizon. Now, that doesn't mean for sure that we have a really difficult economic scenario, but in the distribution of outcomes, there's a good chance we could have a recession.
What the heck is happening to this card market? Everything is falling. Golden auctions, PWCC, eBay, every card is ending lower than what it did prior.
Kevon Looney from Golden State, the big guy from Golden State, Kevon Looney. Why do I put him up on top of this list for 2015 and actually think he's one of the best values right now?
Squawk today reiterated her view that not only are we in a recession, but we are going to be looking at a series of month-on-month declines in inflation. Take a listen.
We believe we are in a recession. The durable goods orders we just saw, really we're seeing the strength there because of activity being attracted to the U.S., a flight to safety. That's why our dollar's been going up as well. Nonetheless, we think we are in a recession.
I think
State of the sports card market. Have you been wondering, what is the state of the sports card market?
Dealers are scared. Breakers are scared. Suppliers are scared. Distributors are scared. Content creators are scared. Investors are scared.
All right, so it is time. This infinite investment game. I'll talk about alternative investments and collectibles, not particular investment advice. But if you watch this, you will get a better collector and investor. And please like, comment, and subscribe, and share this with as many people as possible so we can beat the YouTube algorithm. That's my goal. That is my plan. And yeah, so this video is really important. This is an update on the sports card market and really what we should expect. All right, so some people are saying, yo, this is a great time to start buying sports cards. I still think this is the wrong time to be buying sports cards. I don't care if you're buying tennis, basketball, football, baseball, hockey, F1, whatever you're buying. This is still not the best time to be buying cards. So what's happening right now, especially for wealthier people, they're starting to realize that, hey, with the rising interest rates, see, people think, oh, when inflation going up, this is the worst thing that people were told by a sports card investor, by she collects cards.
Thing we need to address, and I'm sure you've heard this over and over and over again on news, on your radio, on your newspapers, whatever you read to consume the global news, is interest rates are at its all-time high. So if you didn't know, the Fed raised the interest rate by 75 points last week, and the Fed will continue to raise interest rates in October and November this year to combat inflation. This means that borrowing money is going to get tougher and tougher, and every dollar that you have has now lesser value. So it is not a good thing short term, but the Fed is trying to do this so that they can fight inflation and build for a healthy growth of economy down the line. And
by NEO, by whoever, with the big financial dad, whoever, comeback card investor, oh, inflation is going to increase because they printed so much money. So that means you want to have cards. You do not want to have cards. There are other things that are going on in the market. That's why card prices are going down. I mentioned this even a year ago. So here's the thing. Because of this, card prices are really going down because of the raise of interest rates. So you're sucking money out of the system. They're probably going to raise their actual interest rates around 4.5%. The system really can't take much more than that. Yes, I'm about to get into sports cards. Don't worry. And I understand some people don't really listen to me when it comes to sports cards. So I'll show you videos of people you will listen to, like the sports card investor.
I'm going to give these to you in order of who I think is the best investment. And I think the number one best investment from the 2018 draft class, Landry Shamet. Landry Shamet. Going to have a good next 5 years ahead of him. And his Prism silver prices are trading for really next to nothing.
She collects cards, but by the time you listen to them, it's really too late. But this is not the time to double down. And even for a lot of your cards, you can probably sell today and buy them back for half the price, maybe a third of the price a year from now. And that's how it's going to be. Like, things are going to continue to go down. They may stabilize for a second, and then they'll go down some more.
The number 2 guy in the 2018 draft class, Mitchell Robinson.
You're just going to see a decline in sports cards just because with the rising interest rates, you know, the amount, and you're still going to have high inflation. You're still going to have people who, you know, it doesn't make sense. If you have $10,000, like, ooh, I can buy, you know, I don't know, a $10,000 LeBron James rookie card. But you're only going to get 5% return from that, right? If you try to go and sell it somewhere, is that 5% really worth it? Or are you going to put it in some other kind of investment account? Maybe you can get 7 or 8% or some kind of stock or some other kind of investment where you're going to get a higher percentage. And not only that, unless you're flipping on in person, if you're going through any website, there's going to be some kind of fee. That could be shipping costs. So, I mean, you can get them to pay the shipping, but there's probably insurance costs. You're also going to probably have to pay taxes on it. And there may be other options unless you're doing in person, right? So all those things eat away the profit. And 5% increase in a card, 3% increase in a card, 2% increase in a card is not that big of a deal for people. Also, I think it's going to affect the card market and get less people to be in there. For Europe is in trouble. Europe is going to be a lot poorer. I don't care how many European people are going to get in cards, stickers, whatever you want to say. Soccer has not made big waves, right? Like, people saying, buying soccer cards and all that. Soccer cards really have not been going up like that. Keep that in mind. Reason why soccer cards have not gone up.
All sports card investing is as rosy. Card values fluctuate, and the lack of tangible value makes card investing risky.
Is because of, in Europe, you have you have the war of Ukraine and Russia. But one of the factors has more to do with this, and energy prices are going up across the world, but specifically for Germany. That affects manufacturing, and they're not getting oil from Russia, and they're depending mostly on natural gas. That becomes a major issue where that affects winter. You have lights. You need to keep the lights on, and you can barely afford the power bill now. There will be oil as far as natural gas in a sense, but it's going to be so expensive. So Germany is the main heartbeat of manufacturing for Europe, and really it's going to be hard with high prices for Germany to sustain manufacturing. Manufacturing is part of the main heartbeat of the European economy. So if that happens, you're going to see a decline specifically in not only manufacturing, but also just the overall economy of most European countries. And that's going to affect consumers in a downward effect. And you're going to see that in the next 2 years. Plus, with agricultural issues, specifically, you're not getting products or produce from Russia and Ukraine. So that's going to have a domino effect within the next couple years. But also, you also have this issue where baby boomers are entering mass retirement. So because baby boomers are entering mass retirement, they go from putting money into the economy, being very productive, to taking money out of the economy, so they're not going to be spending as much money. What one person spends is another person's income, so you're just going to have less money cycling in and out of mostly anything. And then the things that people are going to be trying to invest in, there are still going to be options like stocks, for example, in certain real estate areas and specific real estate properties, but those are going to be the rarest ones and the necessities that people need. And people are going to be pulling back on pretty much everything else. And that's something that most people are not thinking about. And other things that have to do with China, real estate crisis, manufacturing issues, printing so much money as well. China's doing the same thing. And then they're going to go through their own food crisis as well. And then they're still doing shutdowns because of COVID. yeah, and then you just have high inflation and interest rates in America and political destabilization. So all these things play a role. You also have some things where, of course, and when things slow down less, people are going to want to invest in other kind of collectibles. But also, an issue has to do with people are going to get more and more negative, and more things are going to come to the forefront. So, yeah.
However, most investors are guided by their opinions, passions, and interest in sports leagues and their best players. With the rise of the Internet, the popularity of sports card collecting has dwindled in recent decades. Kids, who were once a large segment of the market, have shifted their interests to games like Pokémon and other types of video gaming in which the real-life players they follow can appear. The rise in card prices, market saturation, and waning interest in the hobby all played a role. Set an investment budget to work with so you don't overspend when you find a rare card online or at auction. At the same time, to protect against volatility or declining value in sports cards, you should keep the majority of your investments in traditional holdings such as stocks, bonds, and real estate, with only a small portion of your investment funds invested in a collectible asset such as sports cards. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for future videos.